Get ready for the hypocrisy. Here we have the damage report. And this is the dude from the Young Turks. And he's got a guest on here, and they're going to talk about how bad the right has become. And in so doing, they're going to violate every principle they're going to espouse. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
Here we go. Oh, this is going to be horrible. Be prepared for this one.
Crowdfunding has been a big thing in America for a long time. It can produce some good. People who desperately need help can get it.
As long as you abide their politics, you're a good person, and crowdfunding can help you.
It can also reveal quite a bit about who we are and who our public servants are.
So if you espouse politics that he doesn't buy into, crowdfunding can do some terrible things in terms of exposing how evil people are out there that would support you.
And The Guardian has an amazing story breaking down this data breach of a Christian crowdfunding website that revealed that serving police officers and public officials have donated money to fundraisers for accused vigilante murderers, far-right activists, and fellow officers accused of shooting Black Americans.
Okay, so let's take a look. Vigilante murderers. They're talking about Kyle Rittenhouse here. Forget the fact that he's only been accused of crimes. No, they're murderers. So you see how they just labeled this. This is a news outlet, The Guardian. And they basically just said, well, Kyle Rittenhouse, he hasn't been convicted yet of anything, but let's just go ahead and accuse him being a vigilante murderer. Far-right activists. Okay, so you have people who have extreme opinions. So, there's something wrong with crowdfunding for that? Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. It's the opinions of the people that are on the right that bother them. If these were far-left activists, you think that they would have a problem with it? And fellow officers accused of shooting Black Americans. No mention whatsoever whether the shootings were justified. It doesn't matter. All that matters is it was a police officer, he shot a Black American. Therefore, we cannot have crowdfunding for these people. So basically, the idea behind this is that let's starve out all possible defense. Let's make it to where anybody accused of crimes by the left simply cannot afford to fight off any kind of vigilante justice, as they put it.
None of this fundamentally is crazy surprising, but it's pretty widespread, and I want to show you a couple of instances of this.
So this whole thing of it's not terribly surprising, this has been permeating the left's arguments for quite a while now. They have something that goes by, some political event, and they say, well, it's not too surprising. I'm sick of this cliche.
First of all, the reason we know who these people are is because often the donations are attached to their official email addresses, their official public email addresses. So that certainly raises questions about the use of public resources, or at least public time. If you are
not really, because usually when you go to donate their money, they'll ask you for your email address. You just type it in. It doesn't mean that you're logged into your email account to do it.
Logged into your official cop email and you're donating these things.
It simply means that you typed your email address into the text field.
Anyway, the beneficiaries of donations from public officials include Kyle Rittenhouse, of course, who stands accused of murdering 2 left-wing protesters.
Accused.
In Kenosha, Wisconsin last August. According to data from the site, he raised $586,940 between the 27th of August last year and the 7th of January, which is, again, I guess, Brett, not surprising.
Not surprising, not hardly shocking. Again, it's a cliche the left has been using for years now. I'm really tired of it.
That he would be able to raise a lot of money, but that is an absurd amount of money. I mean, what percentage of cancer crowdfunding gets to that much? What?
Well, cancer didn't need $2 million to bail out of jail. There's the difference. Kyle had a need. It was $2 million. He's going to stay in jail unless he gets it. And guess what? He could be assaulted in jail. People put their money together and they invested it. But keep in mind also, a lot of the money that was going towards his bail is going to be returned once he shows up in court. But how much is enough? Well, legal fees are going to be astounding here. And you can't blame Kyle for that. You can blame the state. because they're going to be spending the millions of dollars to convict him. It's only fair that Kyle be able to raise millions of dollars to defend himself.
What percentage of victims of shootings get to that much? But the perpetrator raised more than $500,000.
Perpetrator, okay? So again, we'll just convict him. He's guilty. And therefore, in our mind, if we can convince ourselves he's guilty, then we can quash any attempt by him to defend himself. This is mob mentality.
It's so weird when you think of how many better like causes there are for that.
I've donated money to Kyle Rittenhouse's legal defense fund. No, there are no better causes in my book. I don't give a damn what you think.
Like, and didn't someone pay for his? And this is just from that site, by the way.
Yeah, that's from, I forget the name, but that's from one crowdfunding site.
And just I can't identify with the instinct to say, oh, in the wake of people being shot and killed, to be like, all right, let's get that kid. Let's back that kid who did the shooting and the killing.
Okay, at first, probably not. But as people started to learn more about what took place, they started seeing Kyle as a persecuted individual, and that raised their natural instinct to try to help him.
And a lot, you can see they're just like, I'm gonna put my partisan goggles on and log on to this website and give money during a pandemic.
Right, during the pandemic, though, it never bothered you to put your partisan goggles on. Not a bit. And these are the same guys who would donate money to a hard left organization. And guess what? You have to put on your hard left goggles to do that during a pandemic. What the hell does a pandemic have to do with anything? What is this crap? That somehow, well, it's during a pandemic, so I cannot support causes during a pandemic. When did this start?
To Kyle Rittenhouse, who is not like wasting away in jail. We've seen him.
That's right. He's not wasting away in jail because people put their money together to get him out. Otherwise, he would be
making white supremacist hand gestures in a bar.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a perfect reason why we want to starve him of all possible legal defenses, because he went like this. He went into a bar and did this. And all of a sudden, oh, well, shoot, let's starve him out of any possible legal defense. Let's just convict him. Why even have a jury trial? Anybody who does that is so guilty, we just go ahead and convict him. That's the way they think, because they did this and upset their feelings.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And by the way, we're gonna have some more dark details from the story in a second. But the point I want to make is, sometimes I think it's important for us to face dark truths about our country and the people that live in it.
Dark truths that people will actually see a kid who they think is innocent will donate money to his legal defense. That's the dark truth that he's worried about.
There were a lot of them during the pandemic that we had to face. One of them was, face dark truths about our country and the people that live in it. There were a lot of them during the pandemic that we had to face. One of them was, an answer to the question whether we'd ever vocalized it or not. Will we, in our darkest hour, pull together?
Okay, by pulling together, he means, will we all agree with his politics? Whatever he believes in, we're going to drop everything we believe in and just jump on his wagon. Sorry, but that didn't happen. But I didn't see him jumping over the other side either.
And the answer was like, maybe some of us, but not all of us. And some of us, in fact, will do everything we can to undercut the effort. So that was pretty dark. The other is the realization that there are people, lots and lots of people, who really want to see people like Kyle Rittenhouse go and kill protesters.
There might be a few, but that certainly doesn't describe me. I think most of us, I think almost all of us that are on my channel, my followers, really wish that nobody had died that night. We really, really wish that nothing would have happened. It was unfortunate what happened. And just because we're defending Kyle doesn't mean that we wanted to see Kyle kill people. That's a straw man argument. It's a really bad one.
There are definitely people who will do it. Some of them are cops. We saw lots of footage of cops brutalizing people, trying to run them down. But more importantly, for every one of those, there's 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people who just kind of want to see it. And in fact, are willing to donate money to the people who do this thing that they want.
Well, just like there are people who are going to donate money to certain organizations that loot and burn and assault. That happens too, but I don't see him complaining about that.
And in hindsight, perhaps we shouldn't be too shocked. I mean,
again, they're all, oh, well, we shouldn't be surprised. Another cliche. They've been trotting this thing out like crazy.
These people are trained on Fox to dehumanize the protesters, to believe that it's all fundamentally illegitimate.
Well, actually, I don't need to be trained by Fox. I just watch the footage and I see people burning down houses, burning down businesses, assaulting people, vandalizing everything in sight. I don't need Fox to train me to believe that there's something wrong with that. That offends my sensibilities no matter what. Doesn't bother him, though. And this is the problem. There's that poor guy that owned that car lot in Kenosha. He lost $2.5 million in cars, burned them up. He's bankrupt. Do you think he cares? He does not care one lick. I do. I feel bad for the dude, but he doesn't. And that's the difference.
Everything that those BLM protesters are protesting about is made up. It's not true. And in fact, they're terrorists and they're going to come for you.
Well, if they are burning down your business, guess what? I don't know if it matters whether we call them terrorists or not. But the truth of it is, there's been plenty of people doing this, setting fires to things, destroying lives. And he doesn't give a damn.
So what do you know? You end up with a population that likes seeing people at these protests get killed.
Just like you have a lot of population that loves to see people's businesses burned down, lives destroyed, and people assaulted. Keep in mind, there's been plenty of people that have been badly injured, maybe even killed at some of these places. And guess what? He doesn't care. As long as they're on the political right, he's good with it.
And so that is, I think, pretty dark, but I think it is true. And I think it's important to know what at least a percentage of the American people is really about.
Yeah. I can't with this. Like,
I know
and you're right. Like you kind of, I know what everyone's gonna say. You know, it's like Groundhog Day, right? When there's a line in Groundhog Day where Bill Murray says something to the effect of, maybe God doesn't have superpowers. Maybe he's just been around so long, he knows everything. Like we've been in the media landscape for long enough to know that when something like this happens, most Americans, I would say this is what goes underreported and underemphasized, if you ask me. Most Americans look at it and go, that's horrible. Mm-hmm. It's horrible that some kid just went and shot these protesters.
That's right, most Americans, because they don't know what happened. Because news organizations like this, Young Turks, go out and they produce propaganda. That's why most Americans are against Kyle. And I will guarantee you, the more people learn about what actually happened, the more pro-Kyle they become. Anti-Kyleism is based on ignorance. And you saw all the dumb arguments that have been produced, and I've got 43 of them now, and they're all based on people misunderstanding what took place. Some of them are still bandying around that Kyle took his rifle across state lines. And they still believe that. Even though it was disproven in September, they haven't watched the news releases. They're not staying on top of things. And so all they know about Kyle is what people like him tell them. And this man is just blown dead ignorant anyway.
Went to a different state to shoot those protesters. And most people are like, God, that's terrible.
It's terrible. He didn't go to that state to shoot protesters. That is a bald-faced lie. And we know it's a lie. If you watch what took place, if you feel that he was irresponsible in the way he handled the gun, fine, okay? You're entitled to your opinion. If you really feel that he could have done something other than shoot Joseph Rosenbaum, fine, you're entitled to your opinion. But no sane, rational person believes that Kyle went to Kenosha to shoot people. Well, he believes it. Of course, he's not sane and rational.
Or at least most people have the decency to say, like, people died, that's not a good thing.
I think that most of the people that watch my channel believe that. They really wish that nobody had died that night, and I believe that as well. I really think that if Jojo Rosenbaum hadn't chased Kyle, everybody would be better off, and I would certainly prefer that.
Yeah, even if they're not like, you know, Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have shot them, but like they would think people died, that's not a good thing. But and that goes underreported, but there's definitely people out there who say, I can definitely cater to a small audience by being polemic for no reason, by being wildly partisan and at all times hypocritical, by just choosing a side.
Yeah.
And then they just hammer that down, and that crazy monster breeds $500,000 for Kyle Rittenhouse.
Well, it's kind of like the same when there's a certain segment of society that watches people burn down buildings and loot and assault people and want to join that. These are called fringe extremists. They exist in every society.
Because they're not really into finding out what happened, the full story.
Oh, I bet he is. I'm sure that he spent hours and countless hours watching all the footage from Kyle, analyzing all of the Wisconsin statutes. How many of you believe that? How many of you believe that he has dived deep into all aspects of this Kenosha rioting?
Anything like that. Yet they'll still say, do your research.
That's right. Do your research. And I bet you haven't.
How come you don't know all that stuff? These memes I saw absolutely prove a fact to me that I should give money to Kyle Rittenhouse. And it emboldens people like, it doesn't embolden the decent and the sane. And I'm not sane, but the decent and the rational. It emboldens the indecent and the irrational. And that's the most frustrating, and so frustrating. What makes it even more frustrating is how obvious it is.
No, what's really frustrating is that how obvious it is that you don't understand what took place that night. That all of your information that you have, your worldview, is based on propaganda. The media has fed you this. Social media has fed you this. I can guarantee you 9 out of the 10 things that you think took place in Kenosha that night are not even true.
That this is what's happening.
Yeah. Oh, I want to give one other detail. There was a donation for $25 made on the 3rd of September last year.
Ooh, $25. Whoa.
Anonymously, sort of. I mean, when you're logged into your official email address and you don't hide it, it's not really anonymous. That's a good tip for crowdfunding as well as Venmo payments to prostitutes. Sergeant William Kelly, who currently serves as the executive officer of internal affairs of the Norfolk Police Department in Virginia, gave that donation. That donation isn't nearly as bad as the message that accompanied it, which is, God bless, thank you for your courage, keep your head up. You've done nothing wrong. Every rank and file police officer supports you. Don't be discouraged by actions of the political class of law enforcement leadership.
Okay, that's that person's political message. That's what he believes. He's entitled to that opinion.
And here's and the hypocrisy in that statement is, at the same time, they'll look at Daunte Wright and say, hey man, you shouldn't have gotten yourself in that position in the first place.
Well, to a certain extent, that is true. Daunte Wright was being handcuffed. Daunte Wright knew very well that the police were trying to detain him and arrest him. He did the wrong thing. Kyle Rittenhouse was attacked. He could have shot Joseph Rosenbaum right out the gate. He had the rifle. Joseph Rosenbaum was right there. Kyle chose to run. You cannot compare those two situations. Daunte Wright would still be alive today if he had just let them handcuff him. Kyle had no such option. He would have just been pummeled by Jojo Rosenbaum.
What about Kyle Rittenhouse? You're never gonna say you shouldn't have gotten yourself in that position in the first place.
He didn't. He was walking around in the street, walking down with a rifle, bothering nobody, looking for people to help medically. He was ambushed. The idea somehow that he got himself into that position is purely false. Jojo Rosenbaum did not have to attack him. He did not have to ambush him. The police officers with Daunte Wright had to arrest him. He had a warrant for his arrest. It's their job. And Daunte Wright did get himself into that position because he didn't show up for court when he was supposed to.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but it was unavoidable. I mean, he would have had to not cross state lines with a gun he shouldn't have had and patrol. And
he didn't cross the state lines with the gun. You see, this has been disproven since September. We know he didn't cross state lines with that gun. It made national news that the state of Illinois was not even going to prosecute him because he never had the gun in Illinois. And yet this person doesn't even know that most basic fact. And then they turn around and chide the rest of us for not knowing the facts about the case. And if only they just knew what had going on and done the research. But he hasn't done any.
An area that he didn't know and didn't belong in. I mean, that's impossible. Yeah, and the thing is, I don't even know to what extent that comment is wrong. Every rank and file police officer supports you. Sure, it's definitely not everyone, but
maybe they watched the video footage and saw and thought, hey, wait a minute. It looks to me like JoJo Rosenbaum is chasing Kyle. Gee, if it was up to this guy, he would push the message that it was Kyle chasing JoJo. He would try to get away with that. Unfortunately for him, we have video footage. But if we didn't, oh yeah, he would be pushing that lie big time. Even after he was shown it was a lie, he would still be pushing it. It's called propaganda. And this guy is really bad at it.
Really want to know what percentage it is that don't mind the vigilantes? Just terrifying.
There's no vigilantes here. Kyle was not operating as a vigilante. A vigilante takes the place of police force. Kyle was just acting as private security, trying to keep a place from being burned, and he was walking around trying to provide medical aid. It's not a vigilante.
The fact that they do the fundraising for the far right activists doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, clearly those people are always able to get funding when they need it, but or even giving to fellow officers, sure. I mean, it sort of proves the myth of the bad apple when so many people seem to want to run to the bad apple's defense, but doing it for the only reason you know who Kyle Rittenhouse is because he needlessly started a chain of events that resulted in killing multiple people.
He needlessly started it? It looks to me like JoJo Rosenbaum started it. JoJo didn't have to chase him. Could have let him just continue walking down the street. It was JoJo that started it. And I bet you he doesn't even know who JoJo Rosenbaum is. If you asked him, what does the name JoJo mean to you? He probably would just stare at you. That's how much research he probably has done here. And another thing I would like to mention is there are a lot of people, I'm sure, that have donated to Crystal Kaiser's legal defense. Great. I have no problem with that. Frankly, I'm starting to think that she's in a little bit of trouble. Looking more and more into this, I'm starting to think that she probably does not have a really good self-defense argument. But that's okay. We'll settle that in court. She'll have her day. But she can't have her day in court if she doesn't have adequate legal representation. I have no problem with people giving her money. And they wouldn't either. Why? Black female. They'd be all for it. And I think most of the people that comment on my YouTube videos have no problem with Crystal Kaiser raising money for her legal defense, even though politically speaking, it probably is a rather odd deal.
It should be, if anything, a cautionary tale about a bunch of different things, but instead, cops in positions of power, like even inside of the police department in positions of power and authority, look at that and say, yeah, we need more people like Kyle Rittenhouse. And why shouldn't he? That's what the hosts on Fox were saying. That this is a good thing, that more people should be doing this.
Again, he doesn't think that a cop could look what happened in Kenosha and think, maybe Kyle is innocent. It looks to me like the mob was chasing Kyle. It looks to me like JoJo Rosenbaum was chasing Kyle. I think this may be self-defense. I'm going to give some money to this kid so that he can defend himself. He can't see that. To him, Kyle's guilt is so obvious that anybody who even thinks that Kyle is innocent is part of the Nazi fascist mob. That's what these people believe.
We're trying to get people to do stuff like that for months, and Kyle Rittenhouse was their great success.
So, hypocrisy? Oh yeah. As much as they complain about the hypocrisy, they're the worst perpetrators of it. They talk First Amendment, freedom of speech, unless you donate money to a political cause, and all of a sudden it changes. They will look and see, well, what political cause did they donate to? Oh, wait, they donated to a legal defense? Well, that's okay. Oh, wait a minute. Whose legal defense? Oh no, Kyle Rittenhouse, a white dude? Oh shoot. And all of a sudden, now they want the police officers fired. They want them outed, doxxed, everything. They're not believers in First Amendment. They have no belief in free expression. They basically only want those guarantees of freedom for themselves. And if they want to talk about research, okay, they're saying, well, the people that are donating money to Kyle Rittenhouse, they just need to do more research. Okay, I will take on either of those dudes anytime, any day they like. In terms of knowing what happened in Kenosha that night, I will take on any of them. And I am a Kyle Rittenhouse supporter. I have donated money to his cause. So if they think that I'm ignorant about what took place, me and him, any day they like. And they ain't going to do it. Just like that other, what was her name? I forget her name. She had it in her bio that I will take on all challenges, all debates. So I said, okay, let's do it. Kyle Rittenhouse, me and you, it was during one of her anti-Kyle rants. I said, anytime. She responded, okay, never heard from her again. Guess what? She went and looked. Oh, shit. He's got like 120 videos on Kyle. Oh my God, he's got hundreds of hours of research invested here. There's no way that I would stand a chance in hell against this dude. And so I never heard from her again. And these guys would be the same way. They would jump all over the opportunity to take on a pro-Kyle person until they saw what I've been working on. Then all of a sudden, the excuses would fly. But if they're game, I'm game. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.